Welcome back, grade 8. Today we're going to continue with the accounting equation. Now you'll remember that last week we started off by looking at what is the accounting equation. And hopefully you can still remember that we said that what the business owns, its assets, must be equal to what the business owes. Now to whom can the business owe things? Either to the owner, in terms of the capital that the owner has given to the business. In effect, the business owes that money to the owner. And then if we had any credit transactions where we took out a loan, or we borrowed money, or we bought something on account or on credit, we owe some money to other people or businesses. We call them our creditors. And all of our creditors together are labeled as liabilities. So we either owe money to the owner, so we look at owner's equity, or we owe money to creditors whom we call liabilities. And then we expanded and we said that is our accounting equation. Assets equals owner's equity plus liabilities. What the business owns, assets, is equal to what the business owes. Capital that we owe, or owner's equity that we owe to the owner, and liabilities that we owe to other people and businesses. And then we looked at a couple of transactions where we analyzed it on the accounting equation. And can you still remember that I said that after each transaction, our accounting equation must be in balance. So my assets must always be equal to my owner's equity plus liabilities. And you can literally go and test that. Now today we're taking it a little bit further, and we're going to go step by step through a few transactions, transactions that you typically will find in a business that happens on a daily basis, and we're going to analyze them on the accounting equation. Now, if you look here on my screen, I've got a couple of transactions, and at the bottom is our answer sheet. So this is basically what format you can get it in. We're going to add today source documents from where we are recording a specific transaction. Last week we just briefly touched on that, but today we will look at what is the source document for each transaction. And now we also are revising work that we've done in term 1, where we looked at the different source documents. So let's have a look. Very important. Last week with our session, I attached for you the accounting equation, that poster. And in my terms, I always say to my students, that's the accounting Bible. You need to know what type of accounts, what things are my asset accounts, what things are my owner's equity accounts and affect the owner's equity, and what things are the liability accounts. Then you will be able to do the accounting equation. Also with the accounting equation, in order to have success and be able to do this well, you literally need to talk yourself through every transaction and do it step by step. If you do this very, what's the correct word, in the correct method, I can't remember that word, then you will be able to do these transactions very well. Okay, so let's start with the first transaction. There, it says effect of cash transactions on the accounting equation. We need to analyze the following transactions. Right, what are the transactions? The first one, the owner gave capital of 150,000 Rand deposited directly into the business's bank account. Okay, so let's start here by filling it in. The number of the transaction is obviously the first one. Now tell me, now you have to think back to our source documents. What has happened here? The owner gave the business 150,000 Rand to obviously start the business off with. Did he walk into the store with this amount of money? No, we said it's obviously unsafe anyway. Nowadays, people don't do that. They do it with an EFT, a direct transfer from the owner's business or bank account, personal bank account, into the business's bank account. So where will we see that this money has been received in our business's bank account? Yes, you're right. We will draw a bank statement, and there we will see, okay, somebody has paid us 150,000 rand. So the source document for whenever transactions or money is paid straight into our business's bank account is always the bank statement. And in the same way, if our business pays out money via electronic funds transfer, EFTs, then it would also be the bank statement as our source document, because that's where we will see that the transaction has taken place. So our source document will then be the bank statement. Good. Now we need to ask ourselves a few questions. And you will also develop your own method as we go along. Some people look at the transaction from this side and others look from the other side. It is perfectly fine. You must find something that works for you. Okay, so what happened here? The owner gave us 150,000 rand. Why did he give the business? If I say us or we, it's the business. We always look at these transactions from the business's point of view. Okay, so why did the owner give the business the 150,000 rand? Yes, he gave it as capital for the business to start off with. Now, what type of account is capital? These are the questions you have to ask yourself. Capital is an owner's equity account. Yes, remember we said there's two accounts that specifically reserved just for the owner's transactions. One is capital, the other one is drawings. So say now, this is obviously the first time the business has started. The owner didn't give or hasn't given any capital before to the business. Now all of a sudden he's given 150,000 rand. What's happening to the capital in the business? Actually the amount that the business now owes the owner. It has increased with 150,000 rand. So under the effect, we write of owner's equity, so you have to go to the element of the accounting equation. So plus 150,000. And what is my reason? So let me just see if we can just do this slightly better. Why would it not go like that? Let's just see, plus 150,000. What is my reason? My reason is capital. You can say just capital or capital increases. That is perfectly fine. So that's the one half of the transaction. What did we do with that 150,000 that we received from the owner? Where did that money go to? It went into our bank account, the business's bank account. What type of account is bank for our business? Yes, it's an asset because there's money in that bank account. So we regard it as an asset to the business. Can you still remember? Is it a fixed or a current asset? Bank? Yes, you're right. It is a current asset. So we go to assets and what do we say? Yes, my assets increased with 150,000 rand. What is my reason? Why did my assets increase? Because my bank asset increased or my bank account increased. Good. Now we ask ourselves, did anything happen to liabilities in this transaction? No. So you can either leave it blank or maybe make a dash or write a 0 if in case you're worried that you later on might think that I'll just leave it out, or is it supposed to be blank? All right. So if we look at the accounting equation of the transaction 1, here's my assets. That should be equal to owner's equity plus liabilities. Over here, I've got plus 150,000 and equals my owner's equity of 150,000. So my accounting equation is in balance. Good. Let's go to the next one. Paid the rent of 6,000 rand by check. What is the source document if I pay by check? Yes, can you still remember from term 1? It is my check counterfoil. That's that small piece that stays behind in the checkbook if we're still living in ancient times where we issue checks, but that's that small piece of paper in the checkbook. The actual check is torn out. That's given to the business or person whom we pay, and that check counterfoil gives us all the information of what and how we paid out this money and for what purpose. All right. Now, what did we pay here? We paid the rent. Now, what type of account is rent for the business? Remember, something that we have to pay every month. It's got value, but if we don't pay it again, it's running out. Yes, you're right. It's an expense. Now, what do all expenses do? They affect something. Yes, you're right. They affect the owner's equity. What does an expense do to the owner's equity? Does it increase the owner's equity or decrease the owner's equity? Surely all expenses decrease the owner's equity. So under owner's equity, we will say minus 6,000 Rand. And what is my reason? Why is my owner's equity decreasing? Because I had to pay rent. So you can just write rent expense. Remember, we also get rent income. So I prefer you to write rent expense as opposed to just rent, because sometimes we get confused. Now, normally we write plus or minus with a transaction with the effect on the owners on the different elements of the accounting equation. But expenses are the tricky one of them all. Why? You will see that an expense, the effect is that an expense decreases the owner's equity. So it makes the amount of profit that can go to the owner at the end of the year, it makes it smaller. Expenses make the owner's equity less or smaller. But if I pay rent every month, so this month I pay 6,000, next month I pay 6,000, the month after I pay 6,000, what's happening to my rent expense? Yes, you're right. The expense is increasing. So that's sometimes a tricky concept to understand. Although my expense is increasing, the actual expense, what effect does it have? The effect of the expense is that it decreases the owner's equity. So some students grasp this very well and they will write rent expense increases. Some students get confused because they see there's a minus and now why is there a plus? So if this concept does not make complete sense to you at the moment, if you can just identify for me that rent is an expense, then you are perfectly fine. Okay, good. Now, where did we get the money to pay this rent for the month? Yes, we got it from the business's bank account. A bank is what type of an account? Good, it's an asset. So now I move to my asset element. If I take 6,000 out of the business's bank account, what's happening to the money in the bank? Yes, you're right, it decreases. So under assets, I will write oops, a daisy, let's rather not do that, minus 6,000. I don't know why it's bold and sometimes not, but anyway, just want to see if it does that. No, okay, so we can't do that. Minus 6,000. Tell me, why did my assets decrease? Yes, because my bank asset decreased. I took 6,000 from the bank account in order to pay the rent of the business. So my bank asset decreased. Did anything happen to liabilities in this case? No, no liabilities were affected. So I just make a 0 or a dash. Is my accounting equation still in balance after this transaction? Is minus 6,000. There's the middle of the equation. Is minus 6,000 equal to minus 6,000? Yes, then our equation is in balance. On the third transaction, the bank statement showed bank charges of 410 Rand have been taken off the account. What would be our source document? They somehow give it to us in the sentence. Nee, yes, you are right. Our source document is the bank statement. Good. Right. What happened here? We had bank charges. Now, if you just think of the word, if you listen to the word, what does it tell you? It's charging something. This is definitely an expense. Once again, what do all expenses do? Yes, they affect the owner's equity. Do they increase or decrease the owner's equity? They decrease the owner's equity. So I go to owner's equity and I write minus 410. And what is my reason? Bank charges. So the amount that can finally go to the owner at the end of the year is now less because I had to pay an expense. Grade 8, once again, if you understand the concept of the fact that when an expense increases, owner's equity decreases, you can also write bank charges increase. Remember, the effect is that it decreases the owner's equity. Good. Otherwise, you can just leave it blank or just write bank charges. Right, where did we get the money? Where did the business get the money to pay these bank charges? Yes, from the money in the business's bank account. If I take money out of the bank account, in fact, I didn't even take it out. The bank just deducted it off my bank account. So what happened to my bank asset? It decreased. So I go to the asset column or the asset element, and I would say minus 410, and my reason is bank decreased. Did anything happen to liabilities? Yet again, nothing, so I can make a 0. Check, is minus 410 equal to minus 410? Yes, then my accounting equation is in balance. Next one, the fourth transaction. The owner withdrew 900 Rand by check for personal use. This is a nice one. He withdrew the money by check. So once again, my source document is check counterfoil. Right. Why did the owner take this 900 Rand from the business? For personal use. What is that special account that we created for the owner when he takes something out of the business for his own use? That's got nothing to do with the business. Yes, you're right. It is called drawings. Now, what does drawings do to the owner's equity? Yes, if you just think about it, the owners put capital in, but now he's taking some of that capital out for his personal use. So what's happening to the capital in the business? It is decreasing, and therefore drawings will always decrease the owner's equity. Now, please remember, drawings almost works like an expense, but it is not an expense account. So I do not want you to write drawings is an expense or drawings expense. Drawings is an owner's account. It's one of the two owner's accounts, capital and drawings. So you can just write drawings, or if you understand the concept that if the owner keeps on taking money out of the business, these drawings increases, but what does it do to the owner's equity? It decreases the owner's equity. So you could also write drawings increased or just drawings. That is perfectly fine. Right, where did the owner get this 900 Rand? Yes, from the business's bank account. Bank is an asset. So if he takes 900 Rand out of the business's bank account, what's happening to that money? It's decreasing, and therefore my bank asset decreases. Right, did anything happen to liabilities? No, we seldom will work with liabilities in grade 8, but I want you to keep on asking yourself this question in grade 8, right through to grade 9, because in grade 9 we're going to deal with liabilities at some stage. All right, so I just want you to train that brain in order to see how to analyze the transactions. Good, so is my accounting equation still in balance? Yes, minus 900 is equal to minus 900. Next one, on the fifth transaction. Now, let's see. I always say if a student gets this one right, then they understand the accounting equation. What happened here? Bought a new vehicle costing 60,000 Rand, I hope. I don't know where people get new vehicles for 60,000, but anyway, and paid via EFT. If the business pays via EFT, what is our source document? Yes, you're right. It's bank statement, because that money went straight off our bank account into the car dealer's account. Bank statement. Good. What did we buy? What happened here? We bought a vehicle for the business. What type of account is vehicles? Think carefully. Yes, you're right. It's a fixed asset. Good. So if I had no vehicles in the business, we're just sorting out, now we buy a delivery vehicle. What's happening to my vehicle asset? Yes, it's increasing. So my assets are increasing with 60,000 Rand. Why are my assets increasing? Because I bought a vehicle. Vehicles increased. Right. So we're under assets. Where did we get the money to buy this vehicle? From the business's bank account. What type of account is bank? An asset. So tell me, grade 8, am I now moving over to owner's equity? No, you're right. We still stay by assets because I'm dealing with another asset. So I'm still under the assets column. But now what happened to my bank asset? We said it decreased. minus 60,000 rand. What is my reason? Bank decreased. Good. Did anything happen to owner's equity in this transaction? No, we dealt with two assets, vehicles and bank. So nothing changed by owner's equity. Did we deal with any liabilities? No. So I make a 0, I draw a dash, nothing changed in liabilities. Now please help me. Let's check. Is the accounting equation still in balance? Is plus 60, what's happening here? If I say plus 60,000 minus 60,000, what does that give me? It does give me 0. So the net effect of this, or the final effect of this transaction on the accounting equation is actually 0. One asset increased, but at the same time, another asset decreased. So this is how we deal with when we buy an asset. One asset will increase, the one that we bought, but at the same time, bank, the other asset, will decrease. I hope this one made sense. Good. Transaction number 6, we're almost done. Cash received for services rendered according to the cash register role. Right, so we delivered a service or rendered a service. So you can write cash register. Oh, there's an A missing. Cash register role. That, oops, amazing. That is our source document, like the till slip that stays inside the cash register. Good. What happened here? We rendered service and we received 2,000 rand. Good. Why did we get that 2,000 rand? Because of a service that we supplied or rendered to somebody, we got paid money for that. If I provide a service, what is it called in accounting? Yes, I'm glad you can still remember. It's called current income. Now tell me, guys, what do incomes do? What element of the accounting equation do they affect? Yes, you are right. All incomes affect the owner's equity. Now, do they increase the owner's equity or do they decrease the owner's equity? If you just think of the word income, increases. So all incomes, when we receive that income, will increase the owner's equity. What did we get? 2,000 rand. What is my reason? Why did my owner's equity increase? Because of current income. Current income increased or just current income. Good. What do we do with all money that we receive, or cash that we receive in the business? Yes, we have to put it in the business's bank account, obviously for safety and control purposes. What type of account is bank? Bank is an asset. So if I put 2,000 rand in my business's bank account, what's happening to my bank asset? Yes, it's increasing with that 2,000 rand. So under assets, plus 2,000 rand, and my reason is bank increased. Did anything happen to liabilities in this transaction? Nothing. So I can make a 0 or draw a dash. Right, what is plus 2? Is plus 2,000 equal to plus 2,000 if I look at my accounting equation? Yes, so my equation is still in balance. Last one for now. This transaction, or the 7th transaction. The bank statement showed interest on fixed deposit received. So if the bank statement indicates or reflects that money, it means that is also our source document, bank statement. Good. Why did we get that money? Because we received interest on a fixed deposit. Interest is what type of account in the business? Yes, you're right. It's an income. And what did we say just now? What do all incomes do? They increase the owner's equity. So I will go to owner's equity. Under that column, I will write by effect plus 180,000 rand. What is my reason? Interest, income or interest on fixed deposit, both would be perfectly fine. You can write a plus if you want to, or you can just write interest income. Right, where do we put all the money that we receive, or all the cash that we receive in the business? We put it in the business's bank account. In effect, our bank already just added it to our bank's balance. So if my bank, the money in my bank increases, what's happening? My bank asset increases. So I will go to assets, and under assets I will write plus 180,000, 180 rand, and my reason is bank increased. Did anything happen to liabilities in this transaction? No, we didn't deal with the liabilities. So we can just, and now why does it want to do this? There we go. Right, is my accounting equation still in balance? Is plus 180 equal to plus 180? Correct. So now my equation is still, after the last transaction, it is still in balance. Right, grade 8, I hope this made sense, and I hope you're now ready to attempt your own exercise with a few transactions to see if you can apply what we've just discussed here. A few tips, please ask yourself, what is your source document? Talk yourself through it. Try to find out, what did I buy, or what did I pay, or what did I receive? Work with that, and then just see how your bank asset is affected. Did money come into my bank account, or did it go out of the bank account? Remember that every transaction for now in grade 8 has 2 legs, and that is why we can see it here on the accounting equation. And that after each transaction, you check that whether or if, and hopefully it will be, that your assets total is equal to your owner's equity plus liabilities. Right, grade 8, I will upload activity 2, which you can then attempt to do, and let's see how much success you have with that. I have all and full confidence that you will do very well with this exercise.